Hey, what's going on, everyone? It's Kyle Henderson of Bama Football on YouTube. Run the thumbs up. I appreciate you doing that. T-Rob will stay at Georgia. What type of impact do you think that will have at the University of Alabama? I want to hear from you inside the comment box, okay? What we gather, T-Rob interviewed with Coach Kalen DeBoer for hours on Sunday, had an offer on the table to be the defensive coordinator here at the University of Alabama, turns the offer down, and now we'll have a position at Georgia. Will that be co-DC? We're unsure of that at this point. What we do know is he's staying at Georgia. My biggest question, how is that going to impact the roster on the defensive side of the ball at the University of Alabama? The latest on Caleb Downs is that he has yet to make a decision, okay? The latest from Tom Van Aaron of ESPN is that he wants to see who's going to be Alabama's next defensive coordinator before he makes a decision, right? One of the biggest things that Kalen DeBoer said is that he's got to re-recruit this roster. And by doing that, you have to fill out your roster on your coaching staff. Who's going to be the DC? Who's going to be working with the secondary? Caleb Downs deserves to know that, along with all the other players. With that said, the decision could be made by Caleb Downs as early as Tuesday, January 16th, okay? We haven't had much news in terms of the DC coordinator position other than the fact that Kane Womack could be a name to know from South Alabama. I'll talk more about that in just a second. If Caleb Downs is to leave, where would he go? As of today, he hasn't even entered the transfer portal. There's been a lot of people talking about it, but now that ESPN is starting to talk about Caleb Downs, where there's smoke, there's usually fire. So maybe Kalen DeBoer could get a defensive coordinator in here and things change. This is all fluid, as you know. Caleb Downs is a special type of player. There's not a lot of players like him in the country. Played in 189 snaps at the University of Alabama as just a freshman. Was absolutely incredible in every sense of the word, and Alabama certainly has to retain him. As you know, other players from the secondary have hit the portal. Des Ricks, Antonio Kite, just to name a few. I think Sean Murphy on the defensive side of the ball as well. As you know, Isaiah Bond is going to Texas, and then Amari Niblack is also in the transfer portal. But Caleb Downs would certainly hurt in every sense of the word. I think it's very imperative that you make a plan to keep him in place, and you do that by getting in a defensive coordinator that makes a splash, especially on the defensive side of the ball with the secondary. I do like Alabama's secondary. I don't like to think about the secondary without Caleb Downs, but you do have a lot of components coming back. There's been some players to make some announcements today that they're locked in, that they are riding with Coach Kalen DeBoer. One of those players is Devontae Smith, said that, actually came out and said, anyone not riding with Coach Kalen DeBoer is an idiot, to stay locked in. You had Alabama inside linebacker Jahad Campbell make an announcement, said Bama for life. You have Alabama freshman Jalen Mbakwe say locked in. And then he also posted a photo of him and Ryan Williams. So other transfer portal news, we have Shaz Preston, who is headed to Tulane. He was a wide receiver that had yet to make an announcement. And then Isaiah Hastings, he decommitted from Missouri. And I think I saw he is going to Syracuse. So that is the latest on Isaiah Hastings. But kind of looping back to this thing with Caleb Downs, this guy is a phenom. And if I'm Coach Kalen DeBoer, I'm telling him, you know, this is the process. This is the roadmap. And I'm having Coach Saban come in some capacity, because Coach Saban, as we know, recruited Caleb Downs and understands what it takes to get to the next level meaning NFL. The defense is going to be completely built around a star-studded group coming back. I like everything about Alabama's defense. I know you got to figure out who the outside linebackers are going to be. And then you have some other key components returning on the defensive front, but your corners look good. Damani Jackson, Trey Amos, Devontae Smith is now healthy. You have potentially Tony Mitchell rising up. Malachi Moore played in a ton of snaps. I think second most on the team behind Caleb Downs. So there's a lot of positives, but the biggest question mark for Kalen DeBoer is, can you develop players to get to the NFL? You look to his roster last year, sent a lot of guys from the offensive side of the ball, and he absolutely had some ballers on the defense. But Coach Saban in Alabama is a program that is known for sending guys to the league 1,000,000%. So I want to hear from you inside the comment box. What do you think about Caleb Downs? Do you think he could enter the transfer portal? Do you think that you're going to see him potentially at Georgia? Could you imagine if he follows T-Rob to Georgia? That would be a really big blow to the Alabama Crimson Tide and a huge upgrade for Kirby Smart. I'm not going to sit here and say that losing Caleb Downs wouldn't hurt. I really hope the young man sticks it out with the Alabama Crimson Tide. He'll continue to lead this defense and be the best sophomore in the entire country. What he did this year was stellar. He even returns punts. Remember, he put his first punt return at the University of Alabama. He returns one to the house. Back to T-Rob, him going to Georgia. It does sting, but I think it stings even more considering the fact that he's going to Georgia, right? Kirby Smart has continued to poach different elements from the Alabama Crimson Tide. And as they say in the NFL, it's a copycat league. And I think that you're starting to see that from Kirby Smart and some of the things that he's done. You look to some of the staff members that he has added, Will Muschamp, he's kind of from the Nick Saban ecosystem as well, Scott Cochran, just to name a few, and some of the other things that Georgia has done. And look, Georgia is not going anywhere. I know they had a transfer portal fallout kind of similar to what Alabama did, but it's kind of the process in the world that we live in. Look, I want to ask you about this in regards to NIL. It seems to me that other programs across the country have basically emptied their pockets and they're cleaning up in NIL, bigger budgets to get bigger players. We saw a report out there that Isaiah Bond got up to $700,000 to go to Texas along with a Lambo. Where do you think Alabama is in terms of the arms race with NIL money? Do you think they have more NIL money than Georgia? Do you think they have more than Auburn? Do you think they have more than Texas? Do you think they have more than Texas A&M? Do you think they have more than Oregon? Right? Where do they fall within all those programs? And that is where the world is right now in terms of NIL. It's pay to play. Coach Saban has talked about that for a long time. And I know that in his front office position right now, that's on his mind. He's talked about that for a long time. And the NIL, that's why you see the University of Alabama encouraging everybody to sign up for this Yeah Alabama, because I think they are behind in terms of the NIL space, and these other programs are really cleaning up because they have multimillionaires donating to the fund to get the best players in college football. A lot to keep track of. We got you covered right here at Bama Football on YouTube. Thank you very much for joining me. Hit the thumbs up. Just run them up on this video and all the other videos you see right here on Bama Football on YouTube. Kyle Henderson of Bama Football on YouTube. I'll catch up with you soon on the next video.